Hello again, and welcome back to another tutorial in repairing lenses and cameras. And today I would like to show you how one can actually clean the blades in a very sticky aperture in Mamiya-Sekor-C is an aperture 4 and then a 150mm lens. So let's see how it will go. But we need some tools. So I zoom out and then it should be possible to see what's happened. Now the lens is actually, what do you say, it's in nice condition, almost. But when it comes to the aperture, well, at 4, for aperture 4, which is the max open, it looks fine. But if I stop down to 32, well, nothing really happened. And it sets to auto. So I need to help it down. And if I move the aperture pin connection to the camera, you can see it's a bit slow, lazy. And it says something that there is some oil in the aperture system that actually comes from the focus system over time. So, but I'm sure we can do something about it. So let's have a look. We need some tools, of course, of some JIS crosshead screwdrivers. This is the Moody tools, which I have buy on ifixit.com. You can buy a set of 4 screwdrivers. This is pretty good quality. But I prefer my Vera, modified Vera PH00, which I have modified on the very pointy tip. So it fits really good in those Japanese screws. So a gasket from the plumber section in the hardware store, which is 56.6mm in the diameter here, because it can be used to unscrew the front nameplate and the the front lens group. Those rubber cones from Japan Hobby Tool is also very handy, especially when unscrew the back lens group. A pair of tweezers, dentist tools, which is the spade in different angle on each end, and the very pointy, yeah, I don't know what they call in English. And this tool, which I've made myself, is from a normal tweezer, which was really bended. So I simply let those 2 legs be straight and file them so it will very easy when the aperture pin that sits on the blade. So it's easy to lift them up and put the blade in again. Very easy. A vacuum, a lens sucker from the Nordson company. You can Google them. It's also very handy to put in the blades sometimes. A old compass, which I have filed and grind. It's also very handy to loosen some lens groups. Yeah, that's it. And of course a blower should be fine. And we'll also need some isopropylalcohol 99%. Some sticky gloves, Those are garden gloves, but they're really sticky. We will also need those. Now, let's see what we can do. Begin to take off the nameplate. Nothing special about it. And it's not really that hard. And it's made of plastic. So put it away. And that's the next is the front lens group. There are 2 notches here, but I will not use those because I only need to take off the whole front lens group, and therefore the very sticky gasket here is very good to, I mean, should be, come on, okay, I will try the cone instead. And it can sometimes be very good to do the same thing. Yeah, it's loose. So, click. And then take out the front lens group, which is so, all in one block. Those can also be disassembled, but that's not the case here, because that's not any problem with the lens. Now, here we can see the aperture system in here, and if we look more careful, one can see there are some, if we look closer to it, there is a lot of oil film on the blades, and it will be good to take that off. Now, we also need to take off the mount. It will be easier to work with the internal part because we need to take out some of the things from the back, and also the back lens group. So there are 3 screws around here, there, and there. And just to be, I mean, things can only sit in one way, but just to be sure, not so you get confused, one could set a just a small scratch. Okay, there's already sitting something. I can just use that, but you could also just set a mark here, a scratch. So you know where this part should sit. Beware of the aperture ring itself. There is a small spring and a small steel ball in this area around here, but I will show you. So now off with the 3 screws. They are pretty long, as you can see. And the last one. And when taking off the mount, keep a finger or 2 on the aperture ring, so it will not take the whole thing out. But as you can see, it's not possible to take out the mount. So one has to set the aperture ring to 4, which is here, and then it's easy to take out the whole mount. See the shape of the ring here. So this is how it looks inside with the movement of the aperture, which is set it to A. So this one is, you can move it, and there is a spring loaded attachment to it. so it is. As you can see here, this is the manual auto changer, whatever it calls. So, and now there are more screws to take off, and again, just so you know and not get confused, how should you put things back in again, just set a mark here so it's in line with the index mark here. It will make it a lot easier instead of you have to guess, oh, where should things sit. So just a note. When taking off this ring here, take care of the small steel ball and the spring. So keeping 2 fingers on the aperture ring. So I can just unscrew this. It's also pretty long screws, but don't mix them with the other screws from the mount. They are probably the same. I mean, it looks like the same, but just so you are sure. And then the last one. And be aware of the aperture ring, especially when you take it off. So, and this is the whole thing here. So it looks, put that aside, and here you can see some of the, when you move the aperture ring, has to sit in the correct position, because there is a notch over here where this pin goes into. You can see the notch here. So we can take this off, but hold on a second. Because I will also take off the back lens group. I should have taken it off before I took this ring off, but well, so it is. And then you can use the rubber tool here. One should put all the cones in here, not the big one, it's too big. But this one could fit in here, and then you have to put a lot of pressure on. It was necessary for me to use this one and use rubber gloves, but since I have already been into the lens, I need to unscrew this with my lens spinner here. So I will try the cones, put a lot of pressure on, and then it's loose. And why I said one should take off the back lens group before taking off this, because when you move the aperture ring, you could easily miss the steel ball that actually sits up here somewhere. But we'll take a look. So have a hand here when you lift up the aperture ring, because the spring and the steel ball will pop out. So and here we have stuff. Of course I should have taken out this ring before, but I will just show you it again. So here's the small spring for the aperture ring. Put it somewhere in a safe place, and then the steel ball which you can see here. Now just do it again, and I'll show you. Put the aperture ring on, and then this ring that is connected to the aperture ring, and then put this off. So it's more safe to take off the back lens group before take off this this ring here. And also the next ring, which is this pin, this ring here with the pin connection to the notch of the aperture ring, and there's also a small fork down here. This no, it's difficult to see. There's a pin down here, and then you can lift it up. This is the connection that will move the aperture, what do you say, cam, kind of a cam connection that will move the aperture here. So if I move this, it will also move. So when it's fully closed, and then I can open it. It also needs to be taken out because there's a lock ring here. This silver colored ring, and it needs to come off. And with that we will use a tiny screwdriver and a dentist tool. So one can push on this. Where did the other go? Those two tools. Then I can push on each side of the space between each end, and lift, hopefully lift up this lock ring. It can be a little problem, and therefore the dentist tool is very handy. And then I can hopefully lift up this ring by there. It can be a little tricky, I know that. It's only in the beginning, so lift it up. Don't bend it too much, then you will destroy the tension in this ring. And there we have it. So off with that, and the next thing I can take out is actually this ring here. It needs to be lifted up by my dentist tool or some other tools, but it will be much easier when have to move it a little around. So, and off it comes. You see, there's a lot of oil around here, and there shouldn't be any, but it comes from this focus system, and therefore I need to clean this part too. So that's actually that. So as we can see here, oh, the little spring is fooling around here. See, this tiny spring is sitting I'll just put it in so you can see how it will sit before I take it out. Let it go here. So, and the other end. So this is how it looks. So you can see there is some tension, but since there's a lot of oil on the blades on the other side of in here, there will the spring is not strong enough, but it tried to move but cannot. So therefore I need to disassemble the aperture here to go, I mean the plate here that hold the aperture plates in place, before I can take all the blades out and clean it. Now back to the spring here, you need to loosen that. So disconnect it to this pin here. There's a pin there, the brass one. So there's no connection to the spring right now. And I will also take out one screw that hold this curved piece of metal. Don't know the name, but need a flathead screwdriver. This is a 1.8 millimeter. And off for this special screw. As you can see here. So, off with that. And out with this piece of curved metal. You see, there's also oil here. There's also oil here, so I need to clean that too. So yeah, I will be back in a moment. I need to change battery. So continue, and now it will be more about cleaning the aperture plates. So I just get things ready for that. Now I will flip over the lens, focus block system, and heading into the front of the lens here and going into the actual aperture blades. There are 3 screws we need to take off. Let's see. There's one there, there, and there. There's another one here, but I think I will let it stay a little. But the more important thing is, before you take out this whole plate, or just think about loosening it, set a scratch in here on the plate and on the inside of the tube here. Because if you do not do it, you have no sense of how should the plate sit when it sits correct. And if you put it in wrong, the aperture will be not correct compared to the reference to the aperture ring itself. So if you move this plate one way or the other way, you will have a different aperture. So therefore, set a scratch somewhere. Doesn't matter where it is, but since you have it on the plate here and you had it on the inside of the tube, they just have to be in line with each other. So now I can unscrew the 3 screws with a longer screwdriver. Maybe it's better. Oh, it's already loose. Okay. Well, this is also loose. What's going on here? I think this is a kind of a key that is also set there. So a kind of a locking plate or whatever. I don't know. But I will simply take out the plate, loosen it, and my tweezer go. So it looks like there is some kind of a spacer in here. Maybe not. I don't know yet, because I haven't been into the Aperture plates, so I have no idea. I think it's better to use the bigger screwdriver instead of the very small. So now it will be interesting what will happen. So, where did it go? Here. So is it possible to lift out this plate? Yeah, it is. But I found out the plates, the Aperture plates, is actually made of metal. So, wow, seeing a lot of oil in here. Okay, there is a special shaped brass ring, whatsoever it is. But if I need to take it out, I will just put a scratch here where the other scratch is, just so I know where it should sit. So, nice and easy. Now the blades itself, okay, it's a lock. No, I think it will be possible to just take out the blades, because there is an Aperture ring underneath that actually moved the blades. Interesting. See? So, okay. So this is the brass ring is a locking ring for, so this Aperture ring in here will not just fall out and the blades will fool around. But I will just take out the blades, so one can just move it. It can not open fully. So that's the thing. So I think I will take off this, the brass ring in here, and which screwdriver here. And there shouldn't be any problem with that. This is a straight hole in that. So where did my tweezer? So, okay. And here we are. And I would guess there's more oil on this. Not really. Okay, yeah, there's something. Put the plate aside. And yeah, there's oil, as you can see on the table on the desk. So now we can move the blades. And as much as I can, and then I can begin to take out one. Okay, stick together because of the oil. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, there is really serious oil in this Aperture system. I will just add some Isopropylalcohol, 99%, and put the blades and other things, just let it there. This one will also go in here. I will take a shower. And you see, since I have a mark here, there's no problem because I know exactly how this plate should sit. So also with that, and more blades. It's not all the blades that is oily. So, and this one, and see, they can only sit in one position, not there, but only in this position. And of course the last one. Now I also need to take off the take out this plate here, which looks really that there's a lot of oil under, and you probably can see it. There's a lot. There's also really a lot on this plate here. So a shower with that. So this is the rest of the inside here, which I will just clean with some cotton buds and isopropylalcohol. Hold on. So, and this little fellow goes also into the bars. Yeah, I think it will be good. Just need a lot of cotton buds to soften the oil, so it will be easier to wipe out with the more cotton buds. When the isopropylalcohol evaporate, it will take some of the oil out, and it will make it a little easier. To get rid of all the oil. So, and we give it a little more. So, and I think it would be fine for now, and then just use a lens cloth to take out the most of the oil, and it looks pretty good now. On the back side of the focusing system, I will also wipe away a little of it, but don't get too much isopropylalcohol on the helicoils. I think I will just take out the small tiny spring here, because if it's disappear, not good. So and just use another one, and then I think it should be fine. So, and there it is. Just the last one here. So, and this is it. Now it's time to take out the blades again from the shower. Oh, I forgot another one. This ring here needs the same bars. And some tissues, I mean just ordinary tissues, can also be good to put the blades and the parts on. So see, that looks much better. So wipe away the rest of the isopropylalcohol, and then it will be fine again, just like as new. And then it's actually very good, especially on the edge of this ring here. So it's fine, and this curved part with a funny shape. So, fine. And the plate here, so, and it looks pretty good. No oil on it. And now we are more into the rest of the parts here. and then it looks really good. And now we can continue with the I'll just take out the brass ring here, and so it's only the blades I need to clean and dry. So, and now it's really good, and I have a mark here which you can see, so I know this ring should not sit that way, but it should sit that way. Nice and easy. And now it's time to wipe all the blades so they can come into the lens again. Okay, could you just stay there? Of course the blades are made of steel, and the tweezer here maybe is a bit magnetic. Could be. So and it looks like it's there has been pretty much oil in this aperture system. And then I will just use a normal lens cloth to wipe away the rest of the isopropylalcohol, so they look nice and fine again. So you can see it's not a hard rocket science thing that is inside those lenses, but it's more about what tool you use and the patient, and you can save a lot of money by doing it itself. So we are almost there. Now this fine old lens can come back to do some nice photos. So, and then the last one. There it is. I'll get rid of all this stuff here and put things back into the lens. Where did my mark go? There it's here. Now the first things that goes in is that ring here. This is with the brass pin here that is connected to the spring. So it goes in first, and then the blades. So this one can move in here, and now we can put in the blades and you see sometimes it can be a little tricky to put the blades in but by using a lens sucker it could be much easier. Not 100% sure, but you have more control over each blade. So put it in. blade. So okay, do you mind, little blade? It's a very clever tool. So catch the pin into the hole and then there it is. The last blade is more tricky to get in to correct position because I need to flip out the first blade I put in as long as it can. So there. Then it should be quite easy to put in the last blade. So it sits, and then put a tool on here, and then with a one could use the dentist tool and lift it up the first blade so it's come over the last blade, and here we are. So all blades are in a nice round shape. Sometimes there are small hairs. Now then I can put in the brass ring and put that into place. Where did my mark go? There. So, and it should sit there. And now I can put in this plate also, where it's my mark is here, and the mark should be there. So because I missed the where this tiny where did my screwdriver here, where the screw that hold the brass ring, where should it sit? But as long as I have set a mark here and I set a mark inside here, I know where the screws should sit to hold this ring. So you see, it's therefore it is important to put in marks to put things in correct place. Now to put in this ring, I would like to use this tweezer maybe. But the blades are magnetic because of the steel. So I think I will use my lens sucker to get the plate into correct position. Okay, almost fall on the floor. So this is a bigger lens sucker. So simply put on the plate and put this in here. And there it is. Well, one blade This happens now and then. We'll fool around and make things a little not easier. So now all the blades actually sit correct, but I just need to move the plate here so every blade sit correct. And my mark is in line where it should sit. It should be there. And then I can add the tiny screws in here and put things back in again. So, safe home, almost. It will be interesting to see how good it will work. But I guess there will be some improvement of the way the Aperture system works. So that's it. And how will it work? Will it close and open? Wow. Looks like something is too sticky. I don't know. So maybe those screws not have to sit too tight. But let's see. It will. I think it will give itself when I put in the this part here. It should sit like that. And there. And the screw, where's my screwdriver? There. So it's just to catch the hole. And then this be fine. Then tighten the screw, not too much, but just gently. So, and then the spring. And it's easier to just hold in one end of the spring and then use a dentist tool to put it on. So, as you can see here. And then put the other end over the little Wow, that's actually good. Then I can add this ring here and the locking screw, locking ring. This one can only sit that way. This the long pin here will go in this hole here, and the tiny pin here will go into here. So it can actually only sit in one position. So there it is, and then add the locking ring. So there. Not bend it too much. So, and it sits in position. That's almost there. Now I can add my the next small parts will be the Aperture small spring for the Aperture steel ball. Sits there, and before I put this on, and it has to sit there, with the small notches here will go into the steel ball. So, and then I will just sit there and add the steel ball here. So now then use a kind of a flathead screwdriver or dentist tool or whatever some have, and push it down, put the ring on, be very sure it sits there. So, and then they had the right click. So add this ring with the fork here. This fork goes into the pin here. And this pin here goes into the notch in the aperture ring. And oh, it will not move yet, but yeah. And then put this ring on. And since I have a mark here, I know where my index mark is, so I can just put it on. And where did it go? Here. Then add the long screws. So, safe home. The two other screws goes in. And then so now it's actually safe home, so one can sit. And of course you need all the other parts to come in before it can be used. So I can just add the back lens screw. And use my rubber tool to tighten the lens screw. So, and then put on the mount. And we set it to aperture 4. It's important before you can put in the mount. sit like that. And what you can just check if there is any movement. And there it is. So something is working. That's good. Okay. Well, it's a bit worn out in the Aperture system. It will not, or the spring is a bit weak, so you cannot push it all the way in. I don't know. But as you can see, the treatment is working very good. So, and just to be sure how things should sit, set it to Aperture 4. Now, this part here, it's set to auto. This part needs to be pushed all the way over here. And it will go against the pin down here on this side. It will say, has to push when you said it has to push from this side here. So this pin here will push that way. So when you put it in, have it not like that, but there. Put it in and turn the mount a little. So when putting in a screw, you probably has to adjust it a little so it's there. So there. And then we just need to add the front lens group, and here we are. So that was a funny little tutorial, not that hard to do. Then tighten the front lens group, the name ring, which we can click. And here we are, back on track. It works pretty good in auto. But in manual mode, I would say the spring is a bit weak. I mean, not really, but it's not a new lens. So it is. But it works. So that's all for me from now. So hope you can use the info in maybe you repair your Aperture system. It's very common those Mamiya-Sekor lenses has oil on the Aperture plates. So bye bye.